The first thing I remember after the crash was his voice. Sharp, commanding, the kind that could cut through chaos and silence fear at the same time. I thought I was dying, and yet when he leaned over me, his eyes steady behind the harsh ER lights, I wanted to believe I might live. Funny how your life can collapse in one moment on the highway and be rebuilt in the next, inside a stranger's gaze. His name was Dr. Nathan Cole. 32. Brilliant. Exhausted. A man who had stitched together so many broken bodies that he forgot his own heart was just as breakable. And me? I was just some reckless 24-year-old who thought love was something that happened to other people, not to me, until blood and glass forced me into his arms. The hospital smelled of antiseptic, steel, and sorrow. I woke up 3 days later, ribs wrapped tight, for drip humming, and there he was again, chart in hand, hair messy, smile reluctant but warm. He had saved me, but what unsettled me more was the way his eyes lingered when he thought I wasn't looking, as if keeping me alive had cost him more than stitches and sutures. "Connor, right?" he asked, his voice calm but laced with fatigue. "Yeah," I croaked, my throat raw. "Well, Connor, you're stubborn. You almost flatlined, but here you are." I smirked weakly. "Guess I didn't want to make you look bad, document." He chuckled. "God, that sound. Like sunlight breaking through storm clouds." That laugh etched itself into me before I even knew what it meant. But survival has a price. I went home weeks later, body healing, spirit fractured. My friends said I was lucky, but luck didn't explain why my nights were haunted by the echo of Nathan's hand steadying mine, why I found myself craving the sound of his footsteps on the hospital floor. And when life outside the ER walls felt unbearably empty, I did the unthinkable. I went back. Not with another accident. Not with some medical excuse. Just with honesty. "I don't know why I'm here," I admitted, standing awkwardly by the nurse's station, the fluorescent lights buzzing above me. But I needed to see him. When Nathan finally appeared, his white coat half unbuttoned, tie loosened, I felt ridiculous. What kind of man shows up at an emergency ward just to see the doctor who patched him up? But the way his face softened told me I wasn't completely insane. "You shouldn't be here," he said gently, almost like he was scolding me. "I know. And yet," his eyes searched mine. "Here you are." There are moments when the world feels suspended, when every heartbeat is too loud, too obvious. Standing there, surrounded by chaos, stretchers rolling by, monitors beeping, I felt as if there was only us. That night, we ended up outside the hospital under the pale glow of a street lamp, the city humming around us. He leaned against his car, shoulders slumped with exhaustion, while I shoved my hands into my jacket pockets, trying to find the courage. "You saved my life?" I whispered, staring at the pavement. "It's my job," he replied, too quickly. "No." I shook my head, meeting his gaze. "It's more than that. You gave me a reason to want to live again." He froze, the air thick between us. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then, with a sigh that sounded more like surrender than anything else, he said, "Connor, don't make me want something I can't have." And just like that, the hook of pain sank deep, because I realized then that this wasn't just gratitude twisting into infatuation. This was real, too real, and he was fighting it. But love, when it comes, when it claws its way out of the wreckage, doesn't care about rules, about timing, about the walls we've built. It just wants to live. Nathan avoided me for weeks after that night outside the hospital. He buried himself in shifts, worked until his eyes looked bruised, and kept his voice strictly professional whenever I found an excuse to see him. He thought distance would save us both from the mess, but all it did was make me ache more. I tried to move on. I tried to convince myself that what I felt was nothing but gratitude, a patient's foolish attachment to the man who saved him. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw him, the way his fingers steadied the scalpel, the quiet fire in his gaze, the softness he tried to hide. One rainy evening, I went back to the hospital again. Not to chase him, not to beg, but because something inside me couldn't let go. The ER was buzzing, drenched people rushing in, nurses calling orders. And there he was, soaked to the bone, hair dripping, shirt clinging to his chest under the lab coat. He looked at me as if I were the last person he expected and the only one he needed. "Connor," he muttered, half relief, half anger. "What are you doing here?" "I didn't know where else to go," I whispered. "I can't stop thinking about you. I don't care if it's reckless, if it's wrong. You saved my body, Nathan, but you woke up something in me I thought was dead." His jaw tightened. He glanced around, then pulled me into an empty corridor. The storm outside rattled the glass. For a second, we just stood there, breathing too hard, hearts thundering like the rain. "You don't understand," he said finally, voice breaking. "I can't. I'm not supposed to feel this way about you. My career, my reputation. Forget all that." I cut in, stepping closer. "This isn't about rules. It's about us. It's about what we feel, and you know damn well you feel it too." He closed his eyes like he was in pain. Then, with a sigh, he let his forehead fall against mine. The touch was so gentle, so fragile, like if he pushed too hard the whole world would shatter. "God, Connor," he breathed. "You make me want things I swore I'd never want again." That was the first night we kissed. Desperate, trembling, but real. The kind of kiss that left no air between us, that erased the hospital walls and the years of loneliness carved into his chest. And when he finally pulled away, he looked at me as though he'd just taken his first breath in years. But love, especially ours, was never going to be easy. There were whispers among his colleagues, rumors he pretended not to hear. My family asked why I spent so much time in a hospital when I wasn't sick. The world pressed against us, testing the fragile thread we had woven in secret. One night, I found him sitting alone in the staff lounge, staring at his hands. He looked broken, his usual composure shattered. "They're watching me," he said. "If they find out, if I lose my license." I grabbed his hand, gripping it hard. "You won't lose me. Whatever happens, you won't lose me." He blinked at me, his lips trembling, and for once he let me be the strong one. Months passed. My body healed. His nights remained long, brutal, but we carved out a world for ourselves in stolen hours. Coffee at dawn, laughter in the quiet spaces between chaos. A hand brushed against mine when no one was looking. Little fragments of heaven in the middle of hell. And then came the night that changed everything. I was waiting for him outside the hospital after his shift. The air was cold, the sky starless. He came out, shoulders sagging, eyes weary, but when he saw me, he stopped. Just stopped, as though I was the only thing tethering him to the earth. "Connor," he said softly, "I can't keep living half a life. Not anymore." My chest tightened. "What are you saying?" He stepped closer, his hand brushing against my cheek, tentative but sure. "I'm saying I want this. I want us. I don't care who knows. I don't care what it costs. You're worth it. You've always been worth it." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then I was in his arms, kissing him like the world was on fire, like survival didn't mean anything without this. Without him, it wasn't the end of the storm. The whispers didn't stop. The risks didn't vanish. But love isn't about safety. It's about finding someone who makes the fight worth it. And every day since, Nathan has been my fight, my healing, my reason. He saved my life once, in the middle of a bloody night in the ER. But the truth? He keeps saving it, over and over again, every time he smiles at me across a kitchen table, every time he whispers my name like it's a prayer, every time his hand finds mine in the dark. And for the first time in years, I'm not just alive. I'm living. I'm his. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.